Hello everyone, it's Shanna. Welcome to my channel. So glad you're here today. Now today I'm working with KCC 13 and I'm working on sketches 7, 8, and 9. And these are the sheet load of cards. And I'm going to be using the Not Too Shabby Cafe Latte Ephemera enamel dots and the paper packs. And I'm just pulling out my 3 that I'm going to work on today, putting my little doggy clip back on the others, and we'll just get started. I've got a ribbon in here because I've decided I'm going to put a ribbon on it, and I've got a little sentiment. So I've got all of my materials here in this envelope for this card, and I'm just reviewing my sketch so that I know exactly how it goes together. Now I'm going to use the plainer side of this paper, and this is just a side folding card, and I'm going to just put the adhesive on the back of this. I'm going to use my tape runner again. I think I'd left my little pin out of my glue again, and I just need to get it started. So I'm just running with this tape runner since I've got it handy. And this panel is actually a 4 by 5 1/4. So I'm just going to let the white edge show around this card. And I noticed that it was a little crooked. So I'm straightening up and using my bone folder to straighten it up so that it's not kind of crooked. So I'm just going to lay this down with a little bit of white edge around there from my card base, just to frame out this kind of yellow pattern. I really like this pattern paper. I think it's really pretty. It's got some real fine little words on it. I don't think you can see it on camera, but it's real pretty. Now this sketch here kind of got me a little bit confused because it's showing that bottom piece as being 2 inches. You've got a 1 inch, a 3 inch, and then a 2 inch. Well, that doesn't work on an A2 size card. So I split that one in half, and I'm going to use that extra little piece to put on the inside of my card. I'm not sure if it was a typo or if I got an early draft that had an error on it, or I'm not sure. But this is a 1 inch by 2 inch that I'm laying down. And then the next one is a 3 by 2 inch. And I'm going to get it laid down on there. So at that point, we would have, 4 inches worth of paper without the little gap in between there. So another 2 inch piece would not work. So I cut it in half and made another 1 inch piece. I kind of looked at some of the people that had completed it already to see what they'd done, and it looked like most of them did take it off the bottom. Some of them let it hang off a little bit, but I just adjusted it. So I'm going to get this third piece laid down there, and that'll make our little panel. And then we're just going to lay it down on the left side of the card base. Now I was had invited my sister over for dinner tonight, and I had made meatloaf and roasted potatoes and green bean casserole, and we enjoyed that. And then we decided to go over to our parents next door and play some games. And so while we were over there, I realized I was missing Kendra's Card Challenge giveaway from 12. Was on last night, and I quickly hopped over on there, and I was surprised to find out that I'd actually won a prize. So that was fun. That's the first time I've won a prize, and that was really fun. So lots of opportunities to win prizes, and I'm here to prove it because I just won a prize tonight. So that's really fun. So so my sister and my husband and my mom and dad we were all playing together, and we were all listening as Kendra was announcing the names and the prizes and everything. So that was kind of fun. So I'm just going to banner this piece, and I'm just slitting right there in the middle, and then just kind of going across the edge and just bannering it. And I'm going to put it on the inside just to add a little interest to the inside of my card. After I get done throwing it around my craft room and taping it to my glass mat. I was trying to get a pencil to lift it up, and then I decided I needed to get the 2-in-1 tool because it was stuck pretty good. That tape runner works well. So I'm just going to get it laid down on there. Now I've got that ribbon. I think I mentioned that ribbon my son-in-law picked up at some, I don't know, it was some bargain place he and his buddy went to. And he said, he brought it over and he said, I got you something, I don't know what it is, it's a bunch of crafty stuff. And this ribbon was in there, and I saw it sitting there the other day, and I thought I would bring it in to my KCC 13 set here because I thought the color matched really nicely with the colors of the pattern paper. So I'm happy to be able to use that, and there's a bunch of it. So I'm just bringing in some of those dots that are on a little piece of plastic, and I'm just going to stick it on there and just kind of make a loop out of my ribbon, and then I'll just put it underneath my sentiment rather than having a bow. And the sketch actually calls for, looks like maybe some twine, some thin twine or string that you would use on it, but I didn't have any in the colors that I liked, so I decided to use this ribbon. And I'm kind of struggling with it, getting it to lay how I want it to lay. So I'm fiddling around with it. Now I'm just going to lay it there on that yellow pattern paper and then put my sentiment over it. And I think that'll be nice. That's something different I haven't done on my cards before. So that's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to bring in some of that 1/8 of an inch foam tape from scrapbook.com and get it laid down on my little banner there. And we'll just pop it up. So we played Aggravation tonight. That's one of our go-to games. We love to play that. And I think everybody won. And then my dad and I both won twice. So I told him we were the big winners. So that was fun. And we all had coffee, and we had some molasses cookies. They were so good. So I'm just getting my sentiment laid down on here, and that'll finish up this card. So there is sketch 7. Let's move on to sketch 8. Now for sketch 8, I've got some of this Tuscan paper, as you can see. That's Spellbinder's Essential Cardstock. And the 2 pieces of pattern paper from this, where your cutting guide, are those 2 there that are laying in that L shaped. And then the rest is all extra panels that I've brought in along with a sentiment. And at this point I'm looking for a card base. I didn't have one in my envelope, so I'm just grabbing one and bringing it in. I'm going to grab my bone folder and just get it scored real nice. And then we'll start laying the panels down on this one. There's that Tuscan paper I was referring to. It's the cardstock from Spellbinders. Good stuff. In fact, I was debating on why I didn't cut the center out of it and reuse it, but I didn't on this one. So we'll lay this down on the card base. And this is a full 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 panel. And this is the sketch that says, build a scene here. And so then I'm going to bring in the next panel. And I believe it's, let me see, I think it's 5 1/4 by 4 is what it is. And I'm just going to get that nice little edge laid around there. And then for my build a scene, I thought there was kind of a scene on this coffee paper. So I thought I would let my paper build the scene for me. I've got coffee cups, and I have cupcakes and teacups, and I've got a little newspaper there where somebody's sitting there drinking their coffee, reading the newspaper. And I thought that was a scene in and of itself. So I didn't feel like I needed to do anything else for building the scene. So I'm just laying all of my panels down on her, making sure everything's going to fit like I think it should. And then we'll get it laid down on here. And then I'm going to lay it down, and I think I realized that I didn't cut the bottoms of it correctly. It's too long. And so I'm going to take it and trim it off real quick. And I think that the reason it's too long, now that I'm looking back, is the little strip that I was cutting off the bottom should actually go on my next card. Because, and I don't find that out until when I do the voiceover. Because I think I was short a couple of strips from this piece and then the next piece. I think I was supposed to trim those off and use those on the next card. You'll see what I mean when we get to the next card. So that lays down nicely, and then I go to lay this one down, and I realize it needs to be trimmed off just a smidgen. And I'm just like, what? So I'm looking at it and thinking, what did I do? And so I'm just going to take it and I'm going to trim it off as well. I think I'm trimming that other panel too. Oh, I was measuring the other panel. I was measuring the width of the other panel so that I would know how much to cut off of the little piece of the bottom. That's what I was doing. So I'm going to get this laid down on there, and then I'll bring in that other small piece. And if I had realized at the time when I cut them off, I could have put them with card sketch 9 and had those extra little pieces. I'm not sure what happened there. I may have gotten interrupted when I was doing my cutting. Sometimes that happens. So that is all the pieces. And then I'm going to bring in a little sentiment that says, "Life happens, coffee helps." And I think that's super cute. And I decided to layer it up with another piece of that kind of creamy chocolate or wood grain looking paper that I used on the back of it. And then we'll just pop it up. And then we'll have a little card with a little sentiment. Life happens and coffee helps. I'm still trying to use up those foam squares. I think I got them from the Dollar Tree. And I've been just trying to use them up and get rid of them. They're just kind of wrapped around in a circle and they don't store well, so I want to get rid of them. So I'm going to kind of fiddle with where I want to put this. I'm going to hold it here, hold it there, and then ultimately wind up coming back to where I started and just laying it down. So in addition to our game playing today, our dinner and game playing, before that I actually had to go to the dentist. I had been to the dentist for my cleaning, and I had a little sensitivity on one of my teeth. And I had told them, oh, it's a little sensitive. And she'd said, well, it looks, your x-ray is good and it looks good and everything. She said, I just think you've got a little sensitive spot. And she had recommended that I use some Sensodyne toothpaste, and even to kind of rub some of it on there, like almost like medicinal, like medicine. And I'd been doing that. And it just kept, kind of being sensitive and bothering me. And so then yesterday I decided I need to call them and make an appointment. And so I called them and I said, I need to get an appointment. That tooth that I had mentioned, I said was sensitive. I said, it's gotten worse. And I said, I need to get it looked at. And so they had made me an appointment for, I don't know, next week sometime. And I said, okay, I'll see you then. And then as the day went on, I had lunch, and I actually could feel a rough spot on there, and that tooth it was in the back, it had cracked and broke off. And so then I had to call them back and tell them, hey, that tooth broke. And so they got me in today, this afternoon, and I was able to get in there and have them look at it. And it was a tooth that had a filling, and it had that white filling. You know how they'll take your old fillings out and put white in to make it look pretty. Well, I had that in there. And so anyhow, it broke enough that I'm going to have a crown. So I'm like, yay, this will be my first crown, which I'm not excited about. But anywho, they did decide to temporarily fill it with some stuff that has like fluoride medicine in it. Just so, because it's going to be 2 weeks before I can get the crown, before I could get on the schedule. And so they wanted to just ensure that it's in good shape while I'm awaiting the crown. So that was the fun thing I got to do this afternoon. And what was most surprising to me is I had that sensitivity until it broke off. And then once it broke off, I had absolutely no pain. So I thought that was incredibly strange. But anyway, at least it's taken care of for now. And then in 2 weeks, I'll be able to go in and get it officially taken care of. But yeah, I've never had a crown before, but so it should be interesting. Not looking forward to it. I'm not somebody that likes to go to the dentist at all. I mean, I go because I like my teeth, but it's not my favorite place to be. I don't think most people enjoy it either. Anyway, so let's get back to the card here. I am just getting this panel laid down on here, and it's a coffee panel. It's just coffee cups. And I'm trying to decide exactly where it goes and the length of it. And I think this may be where I made a boo-boo. It was supposed to go the length of the whole card base, and I thought, for some reason, I was thinking it needed to have an edge on there, and I took the side and trimmed it off. And I did the same thing with this piece, which was the extra piece that I was bringing in. But it doesn't matter. It turned out just fine. It just doesn't exactly match the card sketch. And I'm not sure why I pulled the whole card out of frame there. I'm not sure what I was doing, but here's the next piece that I'm bringing in, and I'm going to use all these little strips. Now, these are the tiny strips that I think the edges from the previous card that I would have cut off could have went on here. Maybe. I think they might have been like corner pieces. But because I don't think I had the same amount of little tiny strips that were shown on the card sketch. So I'm not sure what happened. Like I said, maybe somebody came in and interrupted me when I was cutting or whatever. But it all comes together in the end. And basically, these are all just laid on a diagonal. And I decided to bring in the white just because I thought there was a lot of white in this paper with the coffee cups. And I thought it would kind of lighten it up. Just kind of lighten the card up. Because I know some of them I've used the darker bases on and they're a little bit darker. So I thought if I brought in the white, it would just make this one a little bit lighter. So I've found the pen and I fixed the glue, which I needed the glue for this. I couldn't really run that tape runner on these real thin pieces. So I'm just going to run just a tiny little strip of glue. And then I decided I probably better get these laid on here and kind of spaced out before I get them all glued down. So that's what I'm doing. I'm just going to get them laid down here and kind of eyeball how I want to space them. And then I'll pick them up and glue them down. I'm also deciding, do I want to flip this one over? Do I want to have this color here, that color here? Which one do I want? And that's what I'm doing. Now the sketch actually says, A goes here, B goes here, C goes here, or D, whatever it is. It actually tells you which one. But I'm just picking what order I like them best in and just laying them down. They're pretty much the same. I mean, just brown panels. Some of them have some yellow on them, but I'm just kind of arranging them like that. And you actually see I've got a sentiment laying there, but I don't wind up using it. I go back to the ephemera pack and bring in some of that Not Too Shabby and just use it. I just think it's more fun. They're bigger pieces and more decorative, so I decided to do that in the end. And these pieces of paper are tiny, so I'm kind of fiddling around with them. I was using my jewel tool to pick them up and try to get them on the paper, but ultimately I think I decide that I just need to glue them and stick them. So overall I had a fairly busy day because I had the boys all day, and then I had to go to the dentist, and my husband actually watched them for, I don't know, it was probably, he had them for a good 2 hours because I was there for a while. They were running behind because only one of the dentists were in, and I wish I'd had a camera in the living room because it sounds like they had a blast. My husband was just running around and playing with them, and I think it would have been funny to have a camera and see him and the two boys just running through the house playing. When I got home, they were all giggles and running around, so he enjoys having them as much as I do. Of course, we always had girls, so it's nice to have some little boys for a change. So I'm just going to flip this over and trim the edge off, and then we'll get it laid down on our card base. I have got to mention, you guys, I am so excited. I can't wait to get this set done because Kendra has a bonus printable that is eligible for her patrons. And if you're a patron, you're going to want to get it. Anyway, it is some printables that are so cute. I cannot wait to make a set of cards out of them. I've got them printed, and I printed them off my printer at home, which it might be better if I had a better printer, but I still am very, very happy with them. But anyway, I started cutting the papers today, and they're going to be so much fun. So stay tuned for that. That's going to be a blast. I've got some hops that are coming up, but I'm gonna try to get the rest of this set done and then move right into that one because it's going to be a lot of fun. So if you're not subscribed, you want to subscribe, and you might want to click that notification button so that you'll be able to see when I roll that set out. I think it's going to be really pretty. So this is where I've got that Spellbinders. I think it's Everyday Sentiments. It's Glimmer foiled, and I thought I was going to use that. It says thanks so much, and then I decide, let's look at this ephemera and see if there's something in there that I would like, because I was thinking I wanted something bigger, more of a statement for this card. And then I find this one that has kind of the coffee and all the elements and the newspaper and all that, and it says caffeine before chaos, and I think that's funny, so I decided to use that. Now I've mentioned, I think before, I actually have a sweatshirt that I wear that says coffee before chaos, and I wear that when I've got my grandkids. I'm going to have my coffee before the chaos arrives. Speaking of chaos, I took my eyes off the youngest one for a couple of minutes, and I had a couple of different events today. One, he pulled out that they have a little kids table and chair set where they eat and read their books and stuff, but he had pulled the chair out and climbed on the table and had his hands on the window like he was going to climb out the window. I had to get him down from that. And then a little bit later, he decided to get into the wet wipes, and he started pulling them out one by one and just throwing them over his head. He's just an ornery little thing. But he's so cute, you can't resist him. So I'm going to bring in some of the Cafe Latte enamel dots and get them laid down on the card. The sketch doesn't call for them, but I just felt like I had kind of a blank space there and I could add them. And the first one I put down, I was actually covering up a spot on that white paper, so that's why I put it down there. So that finishes off 7, 8, and 9. I appreciate you watching. Thanks, and have a great day. Take care.